People are talking about how they are shocked after some recent stuff has come out in a good way. We also have photos of JK at K-BBQ, and people are definitely having a lot to say about that. And then we have RM talking about what he's up to next. So hey Dumplings, is Dave Disci. Let's get into it. RM being the leader of a huge K-pop group is definitely something that has opened a lot of opportunities for him. Of course, not even just him being in the group and those opportunities that you get just from being in a popular group, but the fact that he has led the group also makes people believe that he might run the finances or he might run more of the business side. And there's a chance that he likely does and has done that. Not that the rest of them don't do that, but he probably has done the most. This also means he's likely going to be the one that gets invited to a lot of the economic stuff, to talk about financing, to talk about him being the leader and all that stuff. Recently, he was invited to speak at the Asia Pacific Economic Corporation. This is such a huge honor, and I believe it's like a summit. He's there to talk about the cultural and creative stuff within his own space, so the struggles that he's had with that, perhaps even the future that he sees with it, as well as the soft power of K-pop. K-pop has a huge power in the world. It has a huge influence, and it can get people to spend a lot of money. And so, of course, they need to talk about that. And I imagine this is going to be very interesting and a great conversation. The specific talk is only going to be around 3:05 to 3:15, so he's only going to be talking for about 10 minutes or so, which is more than enough time to talk about any of this stuff, right? And yes, as you can imagine, a lot of this stuff is going to come from the perspective of him being a leader of a boy group and just his experiences overall in the industry. Korean content has also grown pretty significantly within the last 4 years or so, and we've not only seen K-pop kind of dominate in certain areas in Western pop culture, but we've seen K-dramas also do the same thing with the rise of Squid Game or Train to Busan and various other shows that have become very popular. This is going to garner a different type of respect that perhaps the Western industry or the Western people did not have for Asian media up until now, but now can actually see, oh wow, Korean actors can really act. They're very good. I was even talking to someone who is an acting teacher, and I was kind of asking them about Squid Game and Korean actors in general. And a lot of his sentiments was that acting is very good, they hit their beat really well, and sometimes much better than a lot of Western actors. They would put Korean actors on par with British actors, maybe British actors they personally believe is a little bit better, but they also put Korean actors pretty much right there. It's definitely on par, I don't see any difference, but that's a huge compliment, and that is a huge, amazing feat for Asian people to overcome, which is this idea that their acting is really good. Because I think for a long time, it was believed that Korean dramas or Chinese dramas consist of people being really dramatic, and it wasn't ever anything that felt honest. It felt like too much, it was over the top. While that type of acting can definitely exist in any type of culture, it's definitely something that wouldn't translate as well commercially in the global stage. And in this case, we're seeing that a lot of people are now changing their minds about that, and they're actually being like, wait, no, Korean actors are amazeballs. And hopefully that translates more into the music. I mean, the music has already made its way with things like Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters and just that whole show in general. So hopefully we'll see more attention towards the music, but we're also getting a lot of people who are just excited that the BTS boys are doing celebrity things, which is of course the first step in people overall getting really excited and accepting of K-pop as a whole. If it has not happened already, which I personally believe it has. There's been some viral videos that have come out, one of them showing V walking to Vogue World and carry some flowers. I believe the point of the flowers was just to get some photos with it, but he probably felt like that he could eventually give away the flowers, and that's exactly what he did. The video was recorded by some people who showed up at, I think, the Vogue World, like in the path of it, or maybe they were specifically outside, but they were standing there and they were recording V handing them flowers, and he says to share it with everybody. It was handed to one person who I believe probably distributed the flowers, and they gave everyone, and several photos came from that event showing people holding little flowers and just them taking that with them. Personally, I probably found a way to put that flower in some resin and keep it there forever because I would never throw away that flower. But these are not only shocking clips that have come out, that have gone viral, as JK recently had more photos come out from his Calvin Klein campaign. I mean, can we get a second to breathe here? There's so much that has come out today. JK was shown rocking this bad boy biker look. He was doing it pretty much shirtless, and this already is such a hot concept for JK to do, let alone him doing this shirtless. And so people were freaking out over the poses that he was making. They were very manly, and people were freaking out overall just him being extremely shirtless. And it looked really hot, right? Because it's not just that he's shirtless, it is that he's posing really in a very hot way. He's kind of really pulling off the bad biker look. And you think this is an easy thing to do. Definitely not easy to do, and not an easy thing to do in a way where it can be taken seriously, because a lot of people can do it in a joking way, but this is done more seriously. These photos went viral, as you can imagine, as people just don't know what to do with themselves. Some of the photos were fully red, which made it look even more sexual, and other pictures showed his neck and all that sort of stuff. So it definitely was a little bit more implied to be a sexual image or experience. Things like this definitely make me wonder what the future of the boys is going to be, and what the future of K-pop can potentially be. Are we going to see more of these maybe raunchy things? Because maybe the BTS boys were initially trying to push limits, and they were initially trying to build up these things because they knew that the K-pop community would be really upset if they just dropped like shirtless or sexual things out of nowhere. So they start teasing it and sort of testing it, taking their shirt off and that sort of stuff? Or was this something that was just a natural progression that they were going to be doing anyway? And had they planned this for many years already? So who knows about that? But I love it. I think it looks really good, and I love the concepts, and I hope the boys do more things like this, and I hope I'm interpreting the concepts right. But if I'm not, there's still my own thoughts and theories. There's also been some photos that have been a little bit more shocking to people, showing JK eating seemingly by himself at a K-BBQ restaurant. So this was snapped by a fan that seemingly was a couple of tables away. I guess they turned around, they noticed that someone was sitting there, and that looked a lot like JK, and they ended up snapping this picture of him at the restaurant. After the restaurant experience was over for them, it seemed like they ran into JK outside of the restaurant, and they ended up asking him for a picture. And these were the photos that essentially went viral. Now, obviously, looking at this and looking at him sitting alone at the table, it appears as if he's eating by himself. But very quickly, you can see from other posts, it seems like he was there with J-Hope and Jin. But initially, of course, some people were wondering if the person that he was with was going to the bathroom or something, and it just wasn't there. And they were wondering if there was someone who was supposed to be there, like romantically, or this was a date or something like that. Now, I'm sure the person who posted this got a lot of these questions, but decided not to answer any of those questions, which they shouldn't, because it's really none of anyone's business. And they have no obligation or business to even explain this and talk about who was there. Now, obviously, we can see that there was nothing romantic going on. It was just some of the members likely going out, getting food, and they just had some time together. I mean, I'm happy to see this. When One Direction broke off and they took a break, allegedly, we never saw them hang out together ever again. And they said that there was no drama between any of them. And while I believe that, but again, we never saw them hang out with each other. BTS boys, obviously, they've never broken up. They've never said any of that stuff. But this really goes to show you that even in their time off, where they know that within the next few months when they go on tour and all that stuff, they're just going to see each other every single day. They're fully aware of that. They're still spending time together now during their off time when they don't have to. If these were people that they hated, I can guarantee you, you would probably see each of the members eating alone rather than eating together. So the fact that they're still doing that really, really does show you how much they like each other. And we shouldn't take that for granted at all. It really goes to show that the chemistry is going to still be all there. We're going to get the same experience that we would have gotten if we had seen them live or perform many years ago. And hopefully that passion is still there too, because I know just as much as anyone else knows that when you do something for a really long time, even if it is a beautiful job, even if it's something that everyone wants, you yourself might still lose steam from doing that thing. It's just something that you've done a lot, and for your own personal reasons, you might not want to continue because you're just tired of it. This is kind of a side tangent, but I believe the desire to want to be number one mostly comes from fans, and sometimes not as often from the artist. A lot of artists just want to make the music or make things, and a lot of artists, especially the ones that you know, probably make more than enough money where they'll never need to work again in their life. And so if they're still releasing at that point, it's just for them, and they may not care about getting number one. So even if you see that an artist that is not doing well, well, maybe at that point you don't need the money and you're just kind of doing it. They're just kind of doing it for their own joy. And we should be supporting them even more at that point. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you check out Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Thank you so much for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.